name is Peyton May. Today we're with Camille and Asia and Tracy and Rob Fountain.
So, good evening, good evening. I'm gonna jump in just real quick, right? So, to bring you up to speed, this is a little thing we call the Kids Corner. So, we reached out and we had questions asked of us to ask the kids. Well, the kids asked me a question, um, Peyton in particular. So, Peyton was at the polls the last during the primary election, and she asked the candidate a question, and she got an answer. And then she had somebody call me, and I was like, "Who is this?" And then it was like, "Well, this is Peyton." And I was like, "Okay, cool, cool, cool. What's up?" So she explained to me why she was calling, and she asked me some relevant questions. And then I was summoned to Bramble Central Middle School to walk her to class, kind of, sort of. And then when I get to class, I get ambushed by three kids that are sitting in this room. And to introduce these ladies, Peyton, can you introduce the host of this thing with Trace Knott?
Today we have Camille, Asia, and Peyton.
And we also got Trace Knott of Next
Oh
Door
yeah,
Radio.
Tracy. Mm-hmm.
My man Trace Knott. So what we're gonna do, folks, is this. You probably can't hear them, but I will repeat the questions that they ask. So we're gonna start with who, Peyton?
I guess me.
All right, so we're gonna start with Peyton. Peyton is the leader of this little flock right here. I don't know what's going on, but anyway. All right, Peyton, what we got?
How do you feel about ice?
All right, so Peyton asked the question, how do I feel about ICE? So it's a tough situation now because ICE is being used in a different way. But first, I support all law enforcement. I support all law enforcement, state, local, and federal. I don't have to agree with some of the stuff, but I follow the laws as they are written. So we work with ICE, but we don't work to serve administrative warrants, which ICE serves a lot of administrative warrants and that kind of thing. So I work with ICE in a different capacity. We don't go out and round up people. We don't go do things and serve warrants like that. But if you come to my jail, then I follow the law of House Bill 312 and House Bill 10. And that is to notify ICE and immigrations of anybody that's being detained in my facility for any crimes that fit into to the category that I'm supposed to notify them. And because I house federal inmates, I work with them in that capacity. However, we notify ICE and we run their fingerprints. If they're supposed to be picked up by Customs and Immigration or Border Patrol, they have 48 hours from the notification time that they're adjudicated or we're finished with them to come and get them. And we've had cases where they will deport people, but we've had cases also when they will let people go and say, just go ahead and release them. So those are not things that I kind of go against. I stay within the law, but I don't go outside of what the state requires me to do as a sheriff. Who's next?
Camille.
Okay.
What's your name, little girl?
Camille,
This is Camille. Okay, let's go, Camille. What you got?
what are your top three priorities for this year?
The top three priorities for this year is always the safety of our communities and schools. That's one. Two is to continue to rebuild the public's trust. That's two. And three is to make sure that anything we say we do, you keep those promises that you make, right? And that's what I kind of stick with this thing of promises versus proof, right? So people will want your vote and people want you to work with them, but the proof is in what you do. Because you can promise anything to anybody, but when you break that promise or you don't hold that promise, that's called a lie, right? So those people they can't be trusted and there's no integrity. So the top three things for me, the safety of our community, the safety of our schools, making sure that we do what we're supposed to and we follow the law and we make sure the public trusts us. And that starts with you guys, right? Because you guys afforded me a chance to come and talk to y'all. And that's how I build trust within the communities through y'all. Who next?
Asia.
Okay. How do you feel about teens and social media?
You got to speak up. I got these things in my
Sorry.
ear.
How do you feel about teens and social media?
Teens and social media. All right. So the question is, how do I feel about teens and social media? I hate it. And I know it's a way that y'all convey and talk to things, but it takes away from the personal relationships that you need to build. Because more times, and it's a safety matter, right? Because you spend more time looking down than looking up. So your situational awareness is off. So you don't know what's going on around you because we're too focused on our cell phones. And then it takes away from the respect that you should be given. So when you talk to someone like I'm talking to you, I look you in your eye and speak to you. So social media has hurt our kids, but the intelligence and the information and the data, all of that stuff helps, but it has to be done in moderation. We can't just depend on kids seeing the phone and raising our children. So those quality times that you need to spend with your friends and your family are more important than social media. Your turn, Peyton.
How does your oh God, sorry.
Peyton's nervous.
How does your development help prevent crime before it happens?
How's my what?
Develop. God, sorry. Okay, I'm asking the next question.
All right, slow down.
What are some of the biggest challenges you faced as the sheriff of our country?
Our county. Um, so the question is, what are the challenges that I face as a sheriff? The challenges I face is one, repairing the public's trust. Because for years we had some situations that occurred that people didn't trust law enforcement, right? So I came into a situation that was probably one of the hardest things that somebody elected to this office could have faced. And that was the people trusting law enforcement and then the people having to deal with the fact that I'm an African American male who they've never had as the leader of this agency. And then the thoughts of, well, how can he manage a $14 million budget, right? What is he going to do with all of our stuff? What is he going to do with the people that work there that didn't come along with him? So those are challenges I had to work through, and I learn every day. And I'm learning from you young people too. So the challenge I had was to make that sure that I stayed to the promises and my word. Like I would not fire people to go in and take their jobs because of their families and their careers and their retirement. Even when they did things that was against what I believed in, not illegal, but it undermined what I do and where I want to move this agency to. So I still worked with them because they had those retirements, they had their families. And the sad part is that people underestimate how much I know about things. And then people hate the fact that I'm so in your face, I guess you could say, because I want the people to know that I'm transparent. And transparent don't mean on your time. It's when time permits me to tell people things, but I'm going to be transparent as much as I can on my time and with laws and cases that we work. So the toughest thing is getting people to understand, hey, I'm going to do what's right. You may not like how I do it, but I'm going to do the right thing. That was a great question.
What motivated you to run for sheriff?
What motivated me? Um, I had a lot of stuff I was doing before, and I kind of wanted to just fade off into the sunset, right? And one day I was on a food truck because I can cook, right? So I was on a food truck with my wife and my son, and some people approached me about some things that was going on with the sheriff's office, and that was like in 2017. And I prayed on it, and my family's like, no, because my wife was in law enforcement for 30 years as a police officer in Durham, and she was a detective, right? So somebody in this audience right here wants to be a detective, so I'm gonna throw it out there. Don't need to look over there. You know who I'm talking to. So she wants to be a detective. My wife was a detective, right? So we talked about it, and I ran in 2018. But God has a plan and a purpose for your life. And Jeremiah 29:11, I think if you tell me if I'm correct or not, God has a plan for you, right? So it wasn't time for me to be the sheriff in 2018 because God had to peel away layers of what was going on in situations. So to expose the fissures of what was going on, right? So I stayed committed and I stayed in the community. I worked hard. I kept my head up and did the right thing. But the thing that most motivated me was seeing kids like you, to see you guys, and if you trusted law enforcement, to be in the schools with you. Like somebody's father's an SRO, how does that look to see your dad representing you in a school, right? And then to make sure that we change the culture because it was so toxic we had to do things and rebuild an agency. So that's what I saw. I saw the movement of what we did, and that's what made me encourages me to, hey, you did the right thing at the right time, and that time was God's time. So it was God leading me to do what I'm doing now. It wasn't my choice. I would have been fine frying fish sandwiches.
Come on.
In fact, real talk, me and my wife were making more frying fish sandwiches than I get paid as a sheriff. So I sacrificed a wealthy, productive business to take a pay cut because what the community deserved was somebody that was going to be caring, compassionate, and purpose driven to restore the public's trust. And that's what that led me to be elected sheriff. What you want, detective? What you got?
What is it? What is it like when you command an order and someone does not agree?
Um, the question was, what is it like when I tell somebody to do something they don't do it
Yeah.
or they don't agree with what I? Okay, so the question was, how is it that affect me, or what is it like when I tell people to do stuff and they don't want to do what I tell them to do? Sometimes people have to understand that decisions that I make are about saving lives, protecting our communities. And some people may not agree with that, right? So, but I'm going to be fair to explain to people why we do things when the time is right to explain. But sometimes I tell them, look, follow me blindly for a minute, then I will tell you the purpose of why we do things. So, one of my deputies asked a question, and I'm glad you asked that question. It was a great question. We do food giveaways. We work with ACIM, we work with Wendy Tatum, we work with unhoused communities and people to take care of the least of these. So one of my deputies had a question of why do we give away food to these people? And my question was to him, well, who is these people that you're speaking of? Right? So that still shows me a bias about somebody not trying to take care of their community. So I had to explain to him, we do those things because until the least of these you do unto me. And if you have not figured out, I'm a very religious man, right? So with that, he was like, well, I thought people were making us do it. I said, no, this is how we give back. And with our food giveaways, we have districts that we give food away. We help the kids. I just got some money donated to Webb High School for their senior trip. I cook for the schools around here. We do food giveaways for the community the last Thursday of every month. I'm trying to do things other than law enforcement in a different way. And what that means is getting you to trust me through food. Because when the Last Supper, Jesus was with a man who would betray him, right? So I will work with anybody. Now, I ain't Jesus, but I follow his path.
Come on.
So those are the things that make me different in how I move. I don't worry about that, right? If people don't like what I say or do, God's got it. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. That's it.
How do you feel about the election?
How do I feel about what election? The one that's coming up?
Hmm.
Listen. So the question was, how do I feel about the upcoming election? Um, I feel confident in what I've done. Um, and that's my campaign thing is proof versus promises, right? Because if people go back and look from whence we've come to where we are and where I'm going to take this agency, 4 years I had to repair a lot of things that happened over decades, right? So in 4 years, and it ain't even 4 years yet, in 3 years, we changed staffing patterns. We've got raises. We're becoming a 21st century law enforcement agency. We have protective equipment. Somebody's in my ear. So cool. We have equipment, and I just purchased, and this is a crazy thing. I have an MRAP that I got from a sheriff for free, which is a military style vehicle which protects my guys when we have to go do things. I've got a search and recovery vehicle which protects my guys, and I can go look for people. I also have our command trailer came in. Granville County's never had a mobile command center. So now we have a mobile command center where we can go to any kind of situation and have a mobile command center for our staff. We're also in the process of launching a countywide SWAT team. So the things that we've done I'm playing catch up for years of what people have done. And that right there, it makes me confident in this upcoming election that, hey, you're doing the right thing. And the citizens of Granville County, I'm just going to ask them to trust me and continue what I'm doing and put their faith in what we're doing, not to go back to what we've done.
What
Next
are
question.
what are your strengths and weaknesses as an officer?
Strength. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And what's the other one?
As an officer.
Strength and weakness. Weaknesses is I give people chances that may not deserve. Weakness for me is my failure to take criticism sometimes and to learn from it, right? My weakness is not understanding what people are trying to pour into me, right? So that's a weakness because you have to sometimes, and it's a learning process. So the weaknesses that I speak of are the strengths that I've gained. So those things that I have not done, or people say, I build on those things. So what strength do I have? Is engaging, listening, being truthful, being able to understand how to deal with things, to deconflict, to make sure that the message is clear understanding of where we've come from, and to make sure that my strength is the public, being in the public's eye, because I want people to know that I'm the sheriff. I want to be humble, but being a sheriff, because you're the highest ranking law enforcement official in the county with a lot of power, right? And the strength is not using that power the wrong way, right? So that's a strength, to be clear and concise and understand who you are and whose you are. That's my strength, the power that God gives me. Who's next?
Sorry. How does your department handle allegations of bias and ensure fair treatment to all?
Her question is, how does the agency handle complaints of bias and the fair treatment? There's two different sides of what we have, right? The detention facility, and then there's the law enforcement side of the house. So the detention facility is, I have a way that people can grieve what happens to them inside my residence inside my detention facility. So we go through investigations. So like prime example, and I'm just true story. A lady just complained about one of my deputies doing something that was legally okay, but me it was an integrity issue and an ethical issue. And I didn't call nobody's name. Um, but when I interviewed him about his integrity, about his unethical behavior, I chose to separate him, because you're not going to do things that will undermine with the truth and integrity, and we're not going to have an implicit bias against anybody. So my thing was, do the right thing. So every complaint, every issue, my team does an investigation. They bring me the results of the investigation, and then I act accordingly to those issues and complaints. But I take every allegation seriously, and I look at everything, and that's where another weakness is. People say I'm too engaged in what we do, but I want my finger on the pulse of our agency and our community, so I have to be involved into everything. So that's just how I move.
Next question.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Peyton. Yes, next question.
How do you how many people are you connected to, like, in like around the country?
How many people am I connected to?
Yeah, how many?
uh, the question is, how many people am I connected to in the country? I have not a clue. I will say this: there are tons of people. If you look at my challenge coin board that I have in my office, I started a thing where when people told me they didn't trust the sheriff's office, and I'm gonna take you guys to my office one day, right? So I have a challenge coin board that shows how many law enforcement agencies, not people, that I'm connected to, because those things are reflective of when you walk in my door and you see all of those coins from all of these agencies, that means they trust us. They believe that we're doing the right thing. But every person has a connection to somebody else. It's just like a tree, right? So when a tree is deeply rooted, all those roots spread. Even when you have the trunk of the tree, it goes to the leaves. All of those keep the branches and keep growing and growing, right? So think of that as how we connect. So from the work I did, the countries I visited, everything I've done in the military, and I was telling you the last time I did a video, it was like 114,000 people watched it, right? So I don't know those people from a can of paint, right? I probably know some of them. I don't know if I know 114,000 people like that though. Granville County has around 65 to 75, 70,000 people, right? So twice the number of people watch videos that I do and these conversations that we have. So you might be seeing about 100,000 people after this is over. So that number is expansive, but again, it's humbling to know that I have that many people that can talk to me or reach out.
Um, what is one small thing that has changed your view as an officer?
A small thing.
Or it can be a big thing.
Nah, small things, you know. Being able to talk to your kids. People see that as a small thing, but it's not, right? Because the Bible says, unto the least of these, which means our children and our babies, you do unto him. And every child that I can connect to, every kid that I can change a mind, because if I save one of y'all from doing the wrong thing, I can save a generation moving forward. So people think that's maybe a small thing. And that's why I talk to kids, because you are the future. We've got a path. I'm trying to help orchestrate yours to do the right thing all the time, right? And understand this, right? You guys, and again, small things is listening, but you guys are the future of what we do. From what everything, you could be a president, you could be a senator, you're going to be a veterinarian, you're going to be a detective. All those things are possibilities. Those small things of me just sitting with you, because most kids won't have this opportunity because I don't have time. And that's again something I wish I could do is to talk to every young kid in this community, right? That's what keeps me going, keeps me encouraged because of you. Those little things, and then cooking out for y'all and doing little stuff in the communities. Those are small things compared to me managing a 14 or $15 million budget. Those are big things. Spending money, and being fiscally responsible are big things. This is what brings me joy and my babies, my grandbabies. That's what brings me joy. That's what keeps me going and motivated. You're funny.
Can you give us an example of a time where you had to make a split-second decision and what was the outcome?
Uh, as a sheriff or ever?
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 Take another person's life. And I chose not to. That was something, and the question was, what split second decision that I made, and what was the outcome? Um, it was a choice to take another human being's life, um, at another stage in my life, and I didn't. And because of that, God spared me because somebody could have did the same thing. So I look at every opportunity like that, and I think of those things to make sure that I understand grace, I understand mercy, and that's the things, Micah 6 and 8. It tells you to be humble, love mercy, and walk with God in a specific way. And that's my thing. Um, if I can save somebody, and I always tell people, I will help you before I hurt you. And that's always, I tell the people in my jail, I tell the people in the streets, I tell you kids, even when I was at Webb yesterday, I told a young man the same thing. I will help you before I hurt you, to send you to juvie or anything like that, resources that we can help people. So those are the things that kind of split second decisions. It takes us, your life depends on every traffic stop you make. And we've had three law enforcement officers killed in motor vehicle accidents in the past 2 weeks. And those split second decisions of even the small thing of am I going to go down 85 at 150 miles an hour to go save somebody? But I can't save somebody if I don't make myself get there, right? So those are decisions that you make instantaneously, right? But pulling your gun on somebody, taking another human being's life, those are split second decisions that you can't come back from on either side, right? So that's some of the stuff. That's one of the things that kind of stays with me. What's next, Peyton?
What qualities do you think are most important for someone who wants to work in law enforcement someday?
The question was, what qualities do I think are important for you to work in law enforcement today, right?
Someday, someday,
Someday,
yeah, someday.
someday. Okay.
Like Asia told me.
Like Asia. Asia wants to be the police. I would say one, be careful of the friends that you surround yourself with. Stay true to whatever faith that you believe in, and just do the right thing. Mind, body, and spirit. If you keep your mind, body, and spirit in alignment, doing the right thing, you can be anything you want to be. Not just law enforcement, anything, right? So even with you practicing the investigative and the detective kits you got at home, and I mean in your business, we have to be able to stay true to yourself, straight to your family, and just do the right thing all the time. And never lie. Because if you lie, it's gonna follow, right? People would not hire you because of ethical and integrity issues. So just stay true to yourself.
Peyton's.
It's me again?
No, it's your go.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
shoot. Sorry. My bad, guys.
yours.
I'm pretty sure you already answered this, but how long have you been a sheriff?
I've been a sheriff. I was sworn in January on January 5th, 2023. Before that, I did some other stuff, but then the sheriff a little over 3 years, and it's fun. Trust me, it's challenging. I don't get any sleep. That cell phone has been on for 3 years and 3 months, and I sleep with it under my pillow. So instead of a tooth and a tooth fairy, I got a phone. The phone fairy ain't came to see me yet. So, all right, what's next?
Okay.
You supposed to ask me the question in the middle.
Oh, my bad. Can you tell us about the death in the jail?
All right, so she wants to ask me about the death in the jail. So I think January the 25th, we had a in custody death. Again, we extend our condolences to the family of this young man. But to be clear, there was nothing nefarious that our staff did. Our response time was what it was. His sister works at Granville Medical, and they know what the repercussions of what happened. This individual, uh, he was asleep, and he had congestive heart failure, and he died in his sleep. Um, and we did everything and took everything precautions to help him revive him. I got to thank the volunteer firemen, EMS, my guys, in their response to keep him alive. Pre-existing conditions, his medical conditions, attributed to him passing, and we mourn with the family. We try to help as much as we can, and it was a sad situation, but he passed in our custody, and you know, it, things happen, but it was nothing related or attributed to the care, custody, and welfare. It was medical conditions that he had when he came to my jail. And actually, I just talked to his, I was talking to him that day. Um, and we took care of some other things that day would have been talked to him. So, again, we just mourn his loss.
Ready for next question?
Uh oh.
What is your first feeling when you're entering a crime scene?
The question was, what is my first feeling
Mhm.
when I enter a crime scene? Uh, the first feeling is going home and having the compassion about whatever has happened, from a traffic accident to a loss of life. And then my next thing is the families, the victims, the accused, and then I always circle back to my family. And that's the thing. That's the order in which I step into things. Um, Even when we had a homicide up in Stovall, My first thing was my guys and my staff to check on them as soon as I got there. Um, check on the families of the other people, check on witnesses and everybody else, and then check on the medical staff that took care of these people, and then my son, because my son is in the age group, and I go back to that. So every time I see something or deal with something, even little babies, it's tough. But we wear that all the time. And I'm very emotional when it comes to like kids. I'm very passionate about what I feel for kids and you guys. Um, but it comes back to making sure everybody's safe. And my safety is the last thing on the list every day.
What do
You
you
can make
think?
me cry.
I already said you were crying. Like
Huh?
you were crying
She
already.
keeps looking over at me.
What do you think is the biggest problem in our community?
The biggest problem in our community,
Yeah.
we're too divided. That's the biggest problem. We live in a safe community, and we're between Durham and Vance County, right? And our stuff, some of our things come from other counties, right? But if we and I just went back and looked at the numbers. We are data driven when we start looking at response times and how I kind of do things. But I think we're too divided, and I think that social media deteriorates the trust in law enforcement. And I think people, no matter what I do, and I'm just speaking of me, no matter what I do, is never going to be good enough for some people. And no matter how much we try to do what's right, no matter what we do that's right, people will find fault in what we do. Prime example: Trooper gets killed in a head on collision in Durham. And I put a post out mourning the loss of a young trooper. Someone took the opportunity to bash another elected official versus saying condolences for a trooper that died. That shows the division in our community, right? Even at this individual's funeral, people took pictures of all these sheriffs and law enforcement, and one person in our community says, "Oh, the sheriff is just patting himself on the back," and I didn't take the picture. The Sheriff's Association of North Carolina takes those pictures, right? I share those pictures to let people know that we're engaged with the loss of another law enforcement officer, and people will say derogatory things and turn those things. That's part of the division. What are the four letters in the word community we should be really dealing with? UNITY, five letters. Unity, right? We have separated and siloed ourselves. That's the biggest problem. Because if you close your eyes and you see the things and let me list the things that we've accomplished in 3 years, no one would ask me anything but say, wow, you've done a great job. But that's the division. It's about a D, it's about an R, it's about he's black, it's about he's not white. Those divisive things keep us away from the truth. So, no matter what y'all do, we're one community, right? We're one nation under God. There's one constitution. It's not a constitution for him or me or you or anybody. It's us as a people. That's why it starts with we the people. And we have forgotten that. And we're so polarized. I work to the middle of everything, right? So that's the biggest thing. That's what I see is our division about our community is the biggest thing that I
Um,
see.
this is a kind of a follow-up question, but you were talking about how we are divided. So this just kind of made me think of gangs, and I just wanted to know how you felt about them.
Felt about gangs? All right. So the question was, how do I feel about gangs? And gangs are a filler. And stay with me on this. When kids are missing certain things, love, respect, family, that's where gangs kind of step in. And acceptance is where gangs step in. So where there's a void in somebody's life or they don't have an intrinsic value, they will have something or somebody try to fill that void. And that's where like these criminal street gangs or youth gangs, neighborhoods, because your neighborhood in the general statute 1450-16 is the Eve Carson law. So it applies to kids 13 years old, right? So that's 13 years old if you wear the same sign, same color, same jeans, same t-shirts, three or more. If three or more of y'all act in concert, you three ladies wear the same clothes every day, and then y'all jump on another girl and y'all are 13, you can be charged an adult, right? So gangs are just a part of our culture. And it's a part of it's not accepted in our culture. It's part of it. They used to be called other things back in the days. So when we started looking at things back way back in the 60s and the Black Power and the Black Panthers, and we look at the Ku Klux Klan and all those things, they are basically the same thing with a different branding. And because of social media, it's made it more prolific. It's proliferate, gotten bigger because of the fact that people have this. We merchandised it. So when you see rappers and basketball players and people who should be in a different way, they may have came from a situation to where that culture was part of what they did, but they never separate themselves from that culture. So it's up to us to keep educating these kids, and it starts into the least of these, right? So when you have like high school, my son, RJ, y'all favorite, that's all this count now. He had to change t-shirts when he left when he left Granville Central High School, and he went to South Granville. He had to change shirts because one group didn't like the other group, but he had to ride the bus from one school to the other school. And I saw him do that. And I'm like, what are you doing? He said, well, I can't wear this shirt at this school because there's some gang members over there. They checked me in the bathroom. And that's when I knew, and I wasn't the sheriff. That's another reason that I ran for sheriff, because we needed to start taking care of these kids in a different way. We needed to get them something else to do. And that's why, like, when I cooked out for Falls Lake Academy or somebody else or hanging out with you guys, all of those things are trying to keep people in mindset away from, hey, let's move away from that. Let's show these kids love. Let's show them the things that a gang would do. Let's go ahead and take some of that stuff of my Maslow's hierarchy of needs and turn it upside down. And those things of being safe, being feeling part of something. Those things are what we have to do as a community. And we save one kid, we save generations. So gangs are what they are. But we can work against it if we do the right thing. All right, Peyton, what we got? We got one or two more.
Okay. How does your department help prevent crime before it happens?
She was asking, Peyton said, how do we prevent crimes before it happens? Being present. Our patrol division is staffed better than it ever has been in this county's history. When I got there, we had like three, maybe four deputies on the road at a time. So our staffing pattern, we split the county up into divisions. So I have a northern division, a middle division, and a south. So I have at least two cars in every division, and we're trying to get there to be present because people see you, they are less likely to do crime. If people people get mad because like we write tickets, right? And people like don't like us write tickets, and people like it's always the thing the sheriff don't write tickets because it's about voting. For me, it's not that way. It's about safety. So if I can slow you down, then guess what? I might save somebody. But if people are leaving crime scenes, are they going to drive 15 or 55 to get away from a crime scene?
Oh, 55?
55, right? So we look at it as, hey, how do we work this thing out to make sure that we're keeping the community safe? And that's by being in the communities. That's by being present in the communities, going to visit the schools, going to have like tomorrow with the spring fling kickoff, all those things to be in the communities helps prevent crime. And then following up with people. What you got?
Okay, this is my last question.
This is your last question. Okay.
What is a typical day like for you as a sheriff?
A typical day?
Yeah.
You
Well,
mean use today?
I'm sorry?
You mean use today? I'll use today. This is a
Okay.
typical day. So I was in New Bern this morning at 8 o'clock. Then I came back here and I was in the jail for a little while. I had some meetings with some people. Then I had a meeting at 5 o'clock. Then less than 5:30. Then I rush over here. My days are full. I usually work about 19 to 20 hours a day. I usually sleep about 4. And it's and I don't eat donuts. Oh, one more thing, and we're gonna have to wrap it up because I got to go to another thing. Pizzagate. That's what we supposed to. Somebody's supposed to ask me about pizzas going to my detention facility. So Pizzagate is nothing that the county pays for. Families of the residents at the jail call a legit business that's veteran owned. They fill orders. We have to go pick up the pizzas, so nobody delivers them. There's no DoorDash or Grubhub. Our deputies go get them. We take them to the facility. We run them through a scanning process. We take the pizzas out of a box. They're not specifically identified for any individual. So if Joe Blow says, I want this kind of pizza, it's not one specific pizza. So if I get 50 cheese pizzas, then how are we going to smuggle something in with 50 different cheese pizzas and nobody's name on it, right? People try to find reasons to come and attack us when we're trying to make the least of these feel like somebody loves them. So the family reunification is the process that we work with, right? So can nobody say that they found drugs in my jail? Anything you find is somebody bringing it in, and we try to catch those in the front end because we have a full body scanner. So every individual that comes into our detention facility goes through a body scanner. Then they're placed in a cell. If I see somebody on their body scan that it looks like they may have swallowed something or something was inside them, we put them in a dry cell. They stay there until they pass it, and we put them back inside the cell and we put them back in the body scanner. Our nurses do a phenomenal job of checking those things. Are things getting into jails? Yes. That's why I don't like books come from third party vendors anymore, because people were soaking books and paper into these packages trying to come into the jail. So how do I reduce those things? I don't let third party vendors have books delivered to my jail. If I get books, they're going to come from the library. So I know they're safe. And I know families are upset when they do Amazon books and those kind of things, but I can't let those in my jail. Even with mail, I'm scanning mail and running narcotics test kits on mail that comes into our jail. So those things are Pizzagate, drugs in our jail, and all those things. People will say things to lie to discredit what we do. And that's all it is. Because we are doing such good work, and we're going to continue to do such good work. And my team, I have a wonderful team. It's just like a family, right? They do have problems with each other. We have problems with relationships, but familiarization becomes fraternization. So we try to stop those things. So we have these conversations. I have team meetings on Tuesdays at 10 with leadership. And then I go into jails. I go into communities. I ride with these guys to make sure they understand what the vision and the mission is. And we try to keep it moving in a positive direction. Are there setbacks? Yes. You show me anybody has a perfect sheriff's office or law enforcement agency, I'll show you a liar. Because no agency is perfect. All of them have problems, right? So that's just the way I kind of do things. All right, I got to wrap this thing up, ladies. Listen, this is the Kids Corner. This is a podcast. We've invited other elected officials and people to come see these young ladies. We're going to keep Trey Snyder, Next Door Radio, in business by helping him and helping our community be educated on this process. And I would challenge any elected official to come sit with these ladies. Anybody running for office, set a time to come sit with these young people because they are our future. You owe it to them to do what's right and to stand up for what they believe in. Trey, thanks again, brother. Hey, hey, God bless you, ladies. God bless our community. I always pray for our troops in the combat situations they're in, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.